Hi, all. I'm Dan Smegprod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum. Today is Thursday, February 10th, 2022, and you're watching WGAN TV live at 5. We have an awesome show for you today. Introduction to 360 Tours, including a deep dive demo. And here to demo 360 Tours for us is Hadi Osali. Hadi is the owner of 360.tours. Hey, Hadi, good to see you again.
Hi, Dan. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Glad to be on the show.
You bet. So excited to hear about 360.tours, spelled THREESIXTY .tours. So that instead of .com, it's .tours, 360.tours. Hadi, how about an overview of what is 360 Tours?
Well, 360 Tours, Dan, is just a software platform to create virtual tours, display your panoramic images. And what that basically means is anybody that has a home or a real estate agent that has a home that wants to display the home, or a restaurant that wants to display the restaurant, or university, they can basically display the virtual tour of the entire property so that people don't have to go there. And basically that's it. Some people call it 360 tours, some people call it virtual tours. It's basically all the same thing.
Awesome. Probably easier actually to look at 360 Tours and see what it looks like. How about sharing your screen, doing a demo for us? Perfect. And I'm going to ask Hadi to take us through a number of examples of 360 tours, both on the front end, and then we'll take a look at how to create a 360 tour. Hadi, you want to share your screen there? Take over.
Yeah, let's dive in. And let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes.
Perfect. So this is let me hide the video panel. So this is a tour of a hotel. It's a hotel in St. Lucia, and they're basically displaying their property for everybody to see. Every hotel guests that want to come in, and they can take a look at the hotel before arriving, so they can showcase the hotel.
So the first thing I notice here, and I should point out, it's a little herky-jerky, and that has nothing to do with 360 Tours. That's really about how we originate WGAN TV Live at 5. And Hadi, normally based in Miami's in Portugal. And so we got a little bit of internet connection going on, but normally this is silky smooth for anyone that's looking at this 360 tour. Forgive me, you were starting to give us a demo.
Yes, so it is silky smooth for me, actually. I'm glad you mentioned it. So, for example, here when you're at the hotel, the hotel can display different types of videos and images. So this is like an intro to the hotel. And you click on it and it'll give a video intro of the entire hotel. I'm not going to go through the video, it's just to showcase it here. So you're able to display different parts of your property, a lot of information. What the hotel has chosen, for example, is that here you can click on this and then you would get a link to book your reservation at the hotel. This is the booking form of the hotel. I don't know if you can see that on your screen. Perfect. And here we have some 3D or some Matterport images of different parts of the property. So I'll dig into one of that in a little while. Here you can see you could do a whole 360 around the hotel. So this is obviously a drone shot that was taken, 360 drone shot that was taken by a photographer probably for the hotel. And what's nice about this is that you can showcase the property, and if a guest wants to see what the hotel looks like, then he has a very good idea of it. I'm gonna dive into one of these 3D images. So this is a 3D image of the owner's residence. Let's pick a nice one here, perhaps of the spa. And for those that know Matterport, this is a Matterport tour. So the hotel has chosen to embed a Matterport tour here. And we can go into the spa and take a look inside the spa and how it looks like. Okay, so you can do a whole 360 around it. I mean, and if you look at it here, you can go into full screen as well. So it becomes a bit nicer, a bit more, let's say, user friendly for you to see it. And we're walking through the spa. And as you can see here, you can look inside the spa, and it gives you a very good idea about what the spa looks like and what happens there. Do you have any questions for me on this part of the hotel? I'm gonna talk about the options on top and on bottom. I just wanted to know if you have any questions on any of the stuff that I already explained.
Yeah, that's great. If you can tell us about the info in the top left, top right, and the bottom left, that would be cool.
Perfect. So here, when you're doing a tour, you can pretty much put whatever logo you like here. And I know we're going to do a sort of a demo later on where I'll show you whatever you can put, whatever logo you want here, and then you can put it on the tour level. So you can have a global logo for all your tours, or you can have your logo tour specific. So if you're a photographer and you're doing some 360 tours for different real estate agents, now you can put a logo for each tour, a different logo for each tour. So here they've chosen to keep the 360.tours logo. And this is the title of the tour, which is the name of the hotel. And what you have here are the share buttons. So you can pretty much share it wherever you want, in Facebook, Twitter. You could just copy the URL. Let's say you wanted to share it on Facebook, you would click here, you put in your information, and then you share it on your page. Let's say you love this hotel and you want to share it with your friends, and you can do that. You can put it on Twitter if you like. This shows you all the different markers. So these are what we call markers. Each one of those is a marker. It just marks the spot for you. And if you wanted to see all the markers on this panoramic image, you would click on this, and all of the markers would come up here. And you could basically click on it and it'll show you which one you're looking at. The next button is the more here. And when you click on it, you get the contact details. They haven't listed any contact details here, but generally you can add like your email, your phone number, your address. Now on the bottom left, you can, the ones that you see here, you can add more contact information if you like. Perhaps, if you're doing a tour, you want to have some information here about a certain place, a particular place, and then down here, maybe like the reservations like they have there. So it's up to you really. So everything's customizable, right? You can customize the contacts here, or you can customize the contacts on the bottom. It's really up to you. Perfect. So if you don't have any questions, we could dive into the next tour. That's okay to you?
Yes.
Here we go. So this is another tour that we have, and this is called the Lido Marina Village in California. And what you see here is a beautiful aerial shot, again with a drone, of the entire marina, and you could just go around and see how beautiful this marina is. And it's
I see that this is a 360 aerial. If I just had a 2D aerial picture or any other image, could I use that, or does it need to be a 360 image to begin the tour?
You could use that, but obviously you wouldn't be able to, pan like I'm doing, because it wouldn't be 360, but you could. So that wouldn't be a problem. So what we've done here is we've added different, what we call tour content. So different parts, different panoramic images of the aerial. So this part here, there's a restaurant called Nobu, which, I'll click on it in a second, and then, we can go down there and see it. And here we have the West Marine, the back, and here we have the West Marine, the front. There's a Starbucks here. You click on it, you land in front of Starbucks, and we'll click on all of those in a minute. I just wanted to show you some more. So here's another aerial shot from the other side. Once you click on it, you go in and you can see another aerial shot of the property. And these are the other, let's say the other side of what we were just seeing. You could also, so now you see a tour map here, which you did not see on the other demo. basically this tour map here is a map of the property, right? In this case, there isn't like a floor plan. So what we've taken is we've tried to be a bit more creative. We've taken the aerial shot and we've labeled it. And that helps people visualize where they are. And you can click on any one of those and it'll take you wherever you want to go. And I'll do that when I do the Matterport tours. I'll show it to you. So it gives you like a sense of where you are.
So that's an interactive floor plan.
It is an interactive floor plan. And what's nice about it is that if you have a home, if you're showcasing a home, you can upload a property and, put the kitchen and the living room, and that makes it much easier. There's a tray down here, and this tray displays all of the panoramic images. So you can see this tour is huge. I mean, it's massive. It has all these panoramic images. So I wanted to go back to the first aerial, and I can click on it and it takes me back here to the first aerial image. And let's go see the Nobu restaurant, for example. Let's say you're a customer and you want to go to the Lido Walk and you're thinking about it. And you can really see it from this view, which is perfect. And you want to go into the Nobu restaurant and have a meal there. And you want to see what it's like. And you come in here and say, wow, it's a beautiful view. You're at the marina and you can see all these boats. And you just take a walk down the marina, basically, and you're being showcased the property. So what we've done here is we've added a sort of a custom marker over here, and you can do that with 360 tours. You can add whatever marker you want. In this case, we've taken an icon of a menu, for example, and we've attached a link, and this takes you to the menu of Nobu right over here. So these are just some small things you can do with our software. There's a video here. If you notice, this video icon is different than the video icon on the previous tour, so it's customizable. You're able to put whatever icon you want here.
So I think I've noticed 3 ways to experience the tour or to walk around. The first is any marker that's on the image. Second was the thumbnails at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then the third was in the top right by selecting the interactive map.
That's correct, Dan. So
actually, there's a fourth, and that's by marker in the top right.
So the marker keeps you at the panoramic level, right? It doesn't take you through the whole tour.
Okay.
So it's just this panorama. So the tour is made up of several panoramas, right? In this case, this one tour is made up of about 40 panoramic images. And the marker here will give you all the markers on this specific panorama. So we have one here, two there.
So Hadi, for clarification, tell me, I think of the bottom as a highlight reel. Do you call it something else?
I mean, I was calling it a tray, but yeah. Essentially,
tray, highlight reel, thumbnails. That's going to be global for the entire tour.
That's correct. So any panoramic image you go into, you're going to have the same tray.
Great. And then in the top right, in the interactive map, that may be all the locations, but really it's what you decided to make interactive in that top right interactive map.
That's correct.
So that's by choice. It may be all, or it may be a subset. And then the markers, again, what I heard is that the markers are the markers within that particular 360.
That's correct.
Okay,
so I
great.
can show it to you right here. So, I mean, if you go into the map, I mean, in this case, it is what's in the 360, right? But if you had a floor plan, it would be a bit different. So this is the map that you see. And coming back to your question, you said, if we uploaded a 2D image, what would it look like? This is basically what it would look like. You can't pan it, and we uploaded it as a 2D image instead of a 3D image. And this is what it would look like. Now on this one, we've chosen not to put a lot of tour content, simply because when you click on it on the map, it just becomes a bit tedious. It doesn't look nice. So we've chosen to put just a few images here, a few tour content hotspots, let's say. But you could put as many as you want. I mean, you can go all out and you can go crazy on it. That's up to you.
Okay, great. Was there anything else to show us on this tour example?
I think over here that would be, oh, I wanted to show, yes, there was actually. So I wanted to show you the Matterport tours. Before I go into that, I just wanted to just display how you can basically walk down the marina. And here, let's say, you're walking down the marina, you're just a customer that wants to visit and you want to see what it's like to walk down the marina. And you just go through tour by tour, panorama by panorama, and you get all the images here. Now, what I wanted to show was this. So in this tour, we've also embedded some Matterport tours. So this is a Matterport tour of the Linda Cottage. So you could do both, right? And the other one you had just the Matterport tours, and in this one you have both the images that they've taken with the 360 camera and the Matterport embed that they have, the URL. So here you get the whole full dollhouse of Matterport, and then you can walk throughout the house normally.
So the Matterport tour is embedded within 360 tours, within 360.tours. And if you want to look at it full screen, you can, or stay within this iframe, you can.
That's correct. And I'll show you later on how you can do that once we do the backend demo. Then
okay, great.
Okay. And if you don't have any more questions about this, I can move on to the next one. And you can see here that, again, you can just put whatever comments you want, whatever, all of it's customizable. The title here, the description here, the logo. I mean, all of it is pretty much customizable the way you want. So going to the next tour, we have here an interactive shopping tour. And this is a panoramic image of a home. And what we've done is, we've added the Target logo here and we've listed it as like an online shopping experience. And let's say you're looking at this beautiful home and you want to buy this round ottoman chair, and then you can click on it and it'll take you right to Target where you can actually buy the chair and all of that. So everything that you see here that has the info sign on it is linked basically to the Target store. Okay, so let's say you're interested in this lamp, you click on it and it'll take you to the Target store to buy the lamp. And what that does is it opens up the opportunity, not only for photographers, but it opens up the opportunity for e-commerce as well. So you can use 360 or virtual tours for your e-commerce site as well. And it gives the customer sort of a nice view of how whatever they're looking to buy, how the setting is. Okay, so it is a standard regular 360, and it's a pretty powerful tool. There's a lot more you can do with it, and I hope I can get to show you the full power of 360 tours. Did you have any questions for me here on the interactive shopping?
Can you embed the shopping experience within the tour, or do you need to leave the website and go to the landing page of, in this case, Target?
So you can embed iframes in the tour. So if you have a sort of iframe link, then yes. What you can also do is take this panoramic image and embed it as an iframe within another tour, right? But then this is an external link. So once you click on it, it will take you to an external link.
Okay.
So I'll jump onto the next tour. And sorry, just to roll back. And again, these are all like the logo has changed. And, everything's customizable on top. You'll see here that there's no tray. That's because there's only one image. It's just a panoramic image. It's not really a tour. It's just one panoramic image, and that's why you don't get the tray here. Okay. The next tour that I wanted to show you is a house tour, and I'm pretty sure a lot of your viewers can relate to this. I mean, it's a house, and a lot of the real estate agents are a lot of the 360 tour software is used for real estate and real estate agents and universities. So this plays out pretty well. And here you can see this house, we've put it on auto rotate, and you can see the screen's rotating automatically. You can control the speed of the rotation. You can have it just stay still. It's up to you, really. Whatever you want to do is really up to you. So here we're looking in the house, and you can see here that we've added our contacts here down there. Okay. And let's say you wanted to go into the house, you wanted to view the house, so you would go in. And here you're taking a look inside the house. And once you just hover on top of the tour content, it'll tell you what sort of, so here's the kitchen, this is the master bedroom. Let's say you wanted to go into the kitchen. So there's a very nice point I wanted to bring up here. And, when you're creating a tour, you want to make it feel as natural as possible. So for example, if I'm walking towards the living room and I click on here, I'm facing the window, and now I'm facing the other side, right? It doesn't, usually you're supposed to face what side you're going at. So if I'm facing the window, when I come in, I should face the window. However, in this case, the picture here doesn't look very nice. I would rather have whoever is viewing the tour face this way, right? And that's up to me. That's customizable as well. So I can have them face whichever way that I please. So if they're coming in here and I want them to face this way, I can do it, or I want them to face that way, I can do it, right? So if I'm going into the master bedroom, and now all of a sudden I'm in the other side of the master bedroom, it doesn't flow very naturally. Ideally, we should have had a picture here, or somebody should have taken a picture here. So when you come in, you're facing the entire bedroom. And that's very important when you're creating a tour, to create like a natural walk through the home. And so when you're taking the pictures, it's very important that you take the pictures in a way that shows the tour is being done naturally, right? So somebody's walking in and they're facing the correct way. Again, here we're back in the kitchen, and you can tour the entire house. And here we go to the entrance gate, and you can see the house from outside. We can go back to the pool. Okay. And you can take an entire view of the home. Okay. So here we just decided to add some just information. There's nothing here it's just a 3D sign with information on it. And again, these signs, these markers are all customizable. You can add, whatever you can even add your picture. You can add any icon that you please. Okay. And the same thing here, you're able to share. So here we have short links instead of having the entire link here. So if you want a shorter link, we provide that as well. You're also able to get your own links. So let's say for anybody that wants to have, they don't want to have the 360.tours in the URL, you're able to customize the URL so you can have your own custom domain. And I'll talk a bit about that once we do the back end. So if you wanted to have, dan.com as a tour, you can. It's up to you, really. You could remove 360 tours entirely from the entire tour, from the URL. You can remove it everywhere. You won't see 360 tours. So that's kind of nice when you're doing it for real estate agents, or you're white labeling the tour or the software to be your own. So that comes out very nice.
Hadi, on the short URL and the sharing, is that also customizable?
The short URL is not. You can have your own domain and then own subdomain, so you can customize whatever you want on it, but not this particular. Like the 336ty.us is not customizable. What's customizable is the entire URL.
Okay.
So if you wanted to have dan.com as the tour, you can. If you wanted to have dan.com/tour as the tour, you can. It's really up to you.
But not in the social sharing.
Not in the social sharing.
Okay. Okay. Was there some more tours you wanted to show us?
There are, I don't know if you want to go through all of them. There's, there's a residential tour I wanted to show.
Yeah,
There's
I love this one because it really is a great story for 360 tours, is a great use case. Do you want to talk about this?
Sure. So this is a residential development that was being done, and they're showcasing the properties here. They've done it by embedding some Matterport tours over here. Well, the tour's not, the link's not working. Let's see if this one's working. Perfect. So this is again, it's a Matterport tour, and you can walk through the home. You can also have you view the dollhouse effect and everything within the Matterport tour.
Okay, so the interesting thing on this one is the aerial showing the community, and that could have been a plat or some other drawing to illustrate the community, so that you have some sense of the property. Plus, you can see what the neighborhood looked like, at least at the time this tour was done.
Yes, of course. And what you can also do is you can also draw some boundaries here. So let's say you wanted to draw, over here, like, where each house is going to be. You can, I mean, it's not here now, but you can essentially draw some polygon markers here, like squares and rectangles, whatever you want. You can mark it here. You can mark boundaries showing that, okay, this is the boundary of your property.
Okay.
And that's kind of cool for somebody that's going to buy like a piece of land. You can
Yes,
show them
I think this is a great use case for 360 tours, is that aerial 360, that interactive aerial 360.
Yep. So it'll be great as well for, like, if you have a construction site and you want to showcase, what kind of boundaries you have, or what the property is going to look like after construction. You can do that as well if you have some
Okay.
3D modeling on it. Okay. I think that's it for the front end demos.
Yeah, if you could take us into the back end, and I'll while you're getting set up with the back end, I'll mention that we're going to have a special offer later in the program, and I'll talk about that, a special 360 tours special offer, 360.tours. So Hadi, you want to show us how to create a tour?
Sure. So this is your dashboard. So as soon as you log in, so you go to 360.tours, you register and you log in, and you're not going to see all of that because I have some more tours here and we have some test tours. But this is generally the dashboard that you come in. And I mean, I'm going to go through some parts of it, and then if you have any questions, just feel free to interrupt. So here's where you put the global brand settings. So what that means is, whatever logo you have here can be added into all your tours. So you don't have to constantly add the logo on every tour. You just add it, globally, and it comes out on every tour, right? The same thing here with the information. And that information that you saw in the luxury house was all here. It's just from the global brand we've added it.
I think what I would point out there, because we didn't do it on the front end demo, but had we clicked on the logo in the top left-hand corner, it would have linked back to 360.tours.
Yes, so you could do that too. On this part is where you put the custom marker. So you remember the menu that I showed you? So we've added it here. You can add, again, whatever picture or whatever icon you want through here. And down here is where you add your custom domains. So here you would put your, whatever, dan.com, and you would just add your custom domains here. And I'll show you later on how you add your custom domain to your tours. And this is the tour is, or the dashboard here is split in three. So this part here is your tours, all the tours that you're creating. And then you have your panoramas. And then all the way down are the photos. These are typically like 2D maps and stuff like that. So what you want to do is, as soon as you start, you want to start by adding a panoramic image. So you grab a 360 image that you have, and you have two options. You can add them one by one, or you can add them by batch, right? So let's just add the first one manually. Let's say we are adding the Wiegand test panel, and you click on the image, right? And you add it here. And let's go into luxury house, and we start with the swimming pool. So this panoramic image, we're going to call it swimming pool. Right. And then you can add a description if you like. You can even add a YouTube video or an audio to help people guide through the panorama, like a guide. you
So
have
I'm sorry, I'm lost in terms of what this YouTube video is.
So this is just to add sound. If you wanted to add sound, that if you're walking through a tour and you just want some like voiceover or whatever sound or music, you put the YouTube ID here and it'll play the sound for the viewer.
So that's the source file. So I shouldn't be thrown that it says video. This is really the source file for audio associated with that image.
That's correct.
Now you're uploading an image that that oneswim.jpg is a 360. Is this the same process of adding a photo?
The photo, you're supposed to add it below on the 2D. Once we get, I'll show you again.
Okay, that's a different place. And
Yeah,
where does the photo description show up on the public facing side?
It shows, I'll show it to you here. So this, I would write description. And then once you save the panorama, this is the swimming pool, right? And this is the panoramic title. And the description would be over here.
I went a little bit fast for me. Where did that come from?
So when you click on the I here,
Yes.
info, that's where you would get the description.
Okay. I got it. Okay. So that's that text.
If you wanted to talk about the house, you would say like, this is a beautiful 3-bedroom house and all, you could put that all in here.
Got it. Incidentally, while we're on this particular screen, there is a 360 Tours logo. This is for an MLS listing. Is there an option to export the tour without the branding?
Yes, you can. So I'll go back to the dashboard and then I'll come back to it. So this is the panoramic that we added now. And once you click on this icon here, you get a lot but I didn't want to click on it because I don't want to confuse people yet. So once you click on it
people later.
Yeah. So you have the no branding URL here.
Okay, great.
That's what real estate agents use for MLS. Right. So this is the, let's say, no brand MLS friendly link. Okay. So let's close that one.
So that link was associated with the panorama. I presume there's that link associated with the tour.
So we haven't created the tour yet. What we've done is,
but had we created the tour, we could have selected the info, which would have displayed the same type of link for the tour, no branding link, iframe, etc.
So the links, the iframe, all of that are specific to the panorama, right? And if you want the link to the tour, then you can go to the tour. Remember, the dashboard is split in 3: the tours, the panoramas, and the 2D images on the bottom.
I'm just curious, can you go, maybe I'm getting you out of order, but could you go to one of your tours, the luxury house tour, click on the pencil?
This is the one that I showed you before.
Great. Okay. So that's where we find all the URL info of no branding, with branding, etc.
That's correct. And if you wanted to embed this into your website, you could do it with an iframe.
Yes.
I can show you how we embedded, for example, that. So this is our website and we've embedded the tour here. So this is the same tour.
Yes.
It's embedded in here.
Yeah. So incidentally, you're at 360.tours. 360.tours. So if you want to see any of the samples that Hadi demoed, you can go to 360.tours and select that tab demos. We've also inserted the tours that Hadi is demoing inside the We Get Around Network forum, WGANforum.com. Just search the title for 360 tours and you'll see that discussion and you'll see all these examples as well. Okay, forgive me, you were about to show how you insert the iframe.
Yes, so the iframe, you would have to insert it into your website. That's out of the scope of this presentation.
Okay, that's great, but that's where you grab the iframe. And so you could
That's-
grab it either for the tour, which we haven't created yet, or for individual panoramas.
That's correct. So you would grab that iframe, you give it to your IT guy and whoever handles your website, and they know right away what to do with it. So here this was the panorama that we added. Okay. And coming back to it here, so you have the option here of having it public or private. You can password protect it if you like. That way nobody can access it. If you have like a 360 tour of your property, you don't want anybody to access it, you can do that. You can also embed like a domain restriction, like this can only be embedded in dan.com. Okay, these configurations here, remember when I was showcasing the tour, I told you that you can choose which way to zoom, or sorry, which way the viewer is facing, if they're facing the window or facing the other side. So you can control all of that here. You control the starting vertical point. You control the starting horizontal degrees. So where do you want them to start? If you wanted the viewer to start this way, all you have to do is just change the horizontal point.
I'm confused.
So the panorama starts here, right? If I wanted it to start here, I could do that, right? It's a different view. If I wanted them to start facing the garden instead of the pool, I could. So I would just come here. I would come here and I change the starting degree and I'd scroll down and.
So I'm sorry, I'm still confused there. Maybe if you could give us the extreme of because I presume that slider goes to 360.
That's correct.
So if you could show us where 0 is and how you knew where 0 was.
So 0 is where the photo was taken. So this is it. This is 0. This is where the panorama starts.
So is that how that, let's just say that particular camera with that particular lens set up, that was front, and yes, we're going to call that 0.
That's correct.
Now, if I want to go 90 degrees to my right, then I would set that to 90 degrees.
That's correct.
Because I presume it's going clockwise.
Yes.
So if you save that, and we now look at it again, there's our 90 degrees. Okay, great.
So let's go to 180 now, and that would be the other side. Right.
So now I'll be facing away from the house, away from where that tour was shot.
That's right. So now the house is behind us.
Okay, totally makes sense. Got it.
And you could do that horizontally, so this way, or vertically. Let's say, you wanted them to be facing up for some reason or down.
Yes.
Through the vertical.
So if that was, let's say that was an aerial 360 that we were looking at, and we might want to set it at 120 degrees so that we're looking down at the property, that's where that vertical start point comes into play.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
And then here you can limit their zoom. So you can limit how much they can zoom in. You can limit how much they zoom out. So they zoom in and zoom out. You can also limit the starting zoom. So if you wanted, the starting zoomed in or the starting point zoomed out, you can do that too.
Okay.
And then here you can put some limits on how much they can rotate vertically, how much they can rotate horizontally. So if you wanted to limit them on how much they can rotate, then you could do that too. So if you have like a nadir showing here and you don't want it to show, you can limit it.
Okay, so you mentioned in nadir, N-A-D-I-R. So I think of that as the patch of where the tripod was, and maybe I didn't put a patch in there, so I just don't want people to be able to see that there was nothing there, because that's where the tripod was sitting underneath the camera.
That's correct. Then you have the auto rotate here, and if you remember on the tour, we had an auto rotate on the pool, and the panorama was rotating slowly.
Yes.
That's where we turned it on or off. So you could do it slow or fast, right? So this would be fast.
And this is done at the panorama level.
That's correct. So that's done at the panorama level. You can delay it, auto delay, or you can turn it off, whichever you please. Okay. And then the fisheye for the camera lens, you can turn it on or off.
What does that mean?
It's just when you're taking the panorama, you have more of a curvature around the image.
So let's say I shot this 360 with the Ricoh 360 with the Ricoh Theta Z1 camera. Do I select fisheye, or this is totally up to me whether I want the viewer to see more or less?
It is totally up to you. So
Has nothing to do with the camera that it was shot with.
No, not at all. So it's just
Okay.
up to you the way you want to display your tour. Okay.
Could we see with and without the fisheye?
I have to see. I'm not sure that you will be able to see it on this image. We could try, but I'm
Okay.
not. So let's see. This is with fisheye on. Ooh. It really depends on the camera and the. So let's see with the fisheye off. Oh, it's because we had the auto rotate on. Let me turn it off. So the auto rotate off. Save the viewer. So this is with the fisheye on, sorry, off, and this is with the fisheye off. I mean, on this particular picture, you're not going to see it. Perhaps if you took a more high definition image with like a better camera.
Yeah, I think I did see the curvature. I'm going to guess that most of us will probably prefer to have it set to no, so that the image doesn't get, in my opinion, distorted.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a preference.
Okay.
Next, we have the brand information here. So this is on the panoramic level, and this gets a bit confusing. So you have 3 areas where you can add your branding. So you can do it on the global level on the dashboard. That's the first level. And then you can do it on the panoramic level, which would be here. So you can brand this panorama with a logo. And then if you're doing a tour, you could brand at the tour level. So you can have each panorama within the tour have a certain logo, right?
So at those 3 levels, can I have different logos?
Yes, you can. So you can have, and you could tell, so you would choose what type of logo you want. So if you want to use the global brand, you would do it here. If you want to.
So in one case, it might be the photographer. In another case, it might be the real estate brokerage. And in a third case, it might be the real estate agent.
That's right. So if you're showcasing a home, maybe you go into a panoramic image of your whatever the mortgage provider's office, then you can put the mortgage provider's logo. And when you go into the property, you can put the real estate agent's logo.
So is there if you go up just a little bit, excuse me, right there. So there are 3 branding opportunities. It looks like the default is to use the global branding.
I mean, we use the global branding just because, it's just one brand for us.
That's right. But when you sign in as a new client setting up your 360 Tours account, will it automatically default on the 360 level to accept the global branding, at the tour level to accept the global branding?
So when you're creating your tour, you choose what you want here. So in this case, you would have, it's defaulting to yes, and you could just put it no. So it depends on the options that you choose, right?
So I'm still confused here. I understand the global branding. What is show brand info?
So the show brand info would be the information down here.
Okay. And so there's a logo file there. So show brand info is going to apply to everything below.
Yeah, so for example, if I turned off the brand logo, the global brand logo, and I added another logo here in this file, that's where the other logo would show. This is where you add the other logo. So let's say that the global logo was the photographer, and now we're showcasing the property. We wanted to add the real estate agent's logo. This is where you would do it. You would turn off the global logo and you would add the real estate agent's logo here.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
so I'm still a little bit confused because if you set the global brand logo to yes,
Then the global brand logo will come out on all panoramas and all the tours.
but it says show brand information. So you could leave global brand yes, but turn it off on this particular 360.
That's correct.
Okay, and then if I was to add a logo file there and I left both those boxes checked yes, then my logo file and info below is not going to show up?
No, it shouldn't show up. So if you choose yes, then the global brand will override the panoramic.
Okay, so it might be, let's just take for example here is the real estate agent might say, oh, could you please put my logo there, my link to my logo, my name, my everything. And then for some reason they say, well, I've decided I don't want it. You don't have to delete it all. You would just say show brand info. You would select no.
That's correct.
And then if you didn't want it to show you would select show brand info no for info that's actually there that you have the option to toggle on or off. And again, on the right side, have that option to use the global branding, again, yes or no, on or off. So you're giving the maximum flexibility of how to brand at the panorama level, the tour level, or the global branding piece of it.
That's correct. And I think a good example here would be, we have a university that has a tour that's created a tour with us. And what they do is they have the global university logo. And then once you go into every faculty, they'd have like, let's say the faculty of engineering, then you'd have the information there on the faculty and the faculty's logo and all of that. So that kind of helps there.
And when it says logo, that could be a photo of the faculty member.
It could be whatever you want, basically. Yes.
Any graphic, in this particular case, 340 pixels wide, 120 pixels high.
That's correct.
Okay. And then I see there's yet more information if you scroll down of what else you can do on this panorama.
So these are the control buttons that the viewer sees. You can turn it on or off if you want them to be able to auto rotate, to zoom, to download. If you want them to have, the full screen icon on, the gyroscope. So it's up to you.
Okay, you went a little bit fast for me. So is the gyroscope only related to mobile?
That's a good question, actually. I believe so.
Is that what that's referring to? So if I'm on my smartphone, then I can be looking at it like this, and it's as if I was like looking up, and it's moving automatically without me touching the screen.
Yes, that should be it. That's on the mobile. That's why it's a gyroscope.
On mobile. Okay, great. And then download is whether you want the viewer to be able to download your 360s or not.
That's correct. So here, if I click on all of that, then you can see here, I have the full screen, here I have the download, and here I have the zoom in and zoom out buttons. So you can
okay.
And disable them as you please.
Great. So you have the option of enabling or disabling the panorama viewing control buttons.
That's correct. So these are just for the control buttons, right?
Yeah.
They're all here.
Okay. There's our mobile. There's our gyro mobile.
That's
okay.
The auto rotate, actually.
Oh, auto rotate. Okay, got it.
Okay. So this is the full screen. I mean,
right.
It's really
we shouldn't see the gyro because we're on a desktop now.
Yeah.
I presume if we went to our mobile, we'd see a symbol to actually turn on or off the gyro. I would say in this case, you've enabled gyroscope, but if I was in my mobile phone looking at this tour, then I would probably be able to toggle between whether I want gyro or to be able to use my finger to control the experience.
That's correct.
Okay, I'm cool. Okay, I got this.
So, I mean, this just sums up the panoramic. So here, remember, we're just discussing the options for the panorama. We haven't dived into the tour options yet. Okay, so this is just for the panoramic picture.
Yes.
This particular picture.
Okay.
Okay, so these are your controls. So with this one, you go back to the dashboard.
And I want to say we only see the dashboard because you're actually signed in as a 360 Tours client.
That's correct.
Anyone else that was looking at this tour would not see that particular icon.
No, they would see, let me go back to the
Yeah,
tour.
and it just flashed by. That icon was not viewable. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the viewer mode.
Yes.
And then you can see that you see the dashboard is not here.
Yes.
And then on the editor mode, you can see the dashboard here.
Okay.
So let's say, I have this property and, I want to create, I want to add all these panoramic images. I don't want to keep adding each one. It's just annoying to add one by one. I could do the batch upload. And what that would do is that would allow you to load several pictures at the same time. So in this case, I've already loaded the swimming pool. I'm just going to load everything here. Click on it, upload. Oh, I forgot. And what you can do is you can auto create tours with it. So you'll tell it to. So you can click this button, and once you upload, you can. It will create a tour with all of the panoramas that you just uploaded.
I don't understand what that means. They're not linked together, but they're all within one tour.
So they're not. So we haven't created the tour yet. So here we've uploaded everything. Okay.
So you haven't put in the hotspots yet or annotated the space in any way. It's just that batch has been brought into a tour and it's ready for you to name that tour.
Actually, when I brought it in, I forgot to check the box. So right now they're just sitting here as panoramic images.
Yes.
I would need to create the tour. So I'm going to redo this again. Now this time I'm going to choose the checkbox that says auto create.
Yes.
And you can see the difference. So here I'm going to choose everything and open it. And I'm going to upload. And what this should do is it'll upload everything, but this time it's going to auto create a tour for me.
Yes.
It's going to put all of those 9 or 8 panoramas inside the tour, 9 panoramas inside the tour.
So does it also list the panoramas below individually?
It does. So I'll show that to you. And then you can customize which panorama you want first and which panorama you want last. And we'll go into that just in a second.
Okay. So if the 360, so I understand the batch and you're about to create a tour, but it's also listing the 360s below. If I touch that panorama below, all those changes that I make are going to apply in the tour itself.
If you change the tour settings, yes. So I'll go into that to explain better. So here we have the 9 files they've uploaded.
Yes.
And when I close, I see here I have a new tour.
Yes.
So when I go into the new tour to edit it, and I see I have 9 new panoramas, they're all here.
Yes.
So all of them have been uploaded. And these are the tour. This is the new tour that's in here. And now you can see a button here, which is like a globe. These are the tour settings, which we didn't have before because we were at the panorama level. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're at the tour level. And when I click on the tour level, this is the settings for the tour. Okay. Now, if I scroll down all the way, I'll see all of these panoramas, the 9 panoramas I just uploaded. They're all here automatically. So I don't have to add them anymore. They're all added to the tour by itself. Okay.
So just one clarification here. If you went in to edit, maybe if you just do that, if you just click one of those blue pencils and
you
you
click on it'll take me to the front door, for example, right?
Okay, but when you go into that blue pencil and you're about to make changes, is that applying the changes to the individual panorama that's listed below, or just the one that's in the tour?
It's applying it to the panorama that's listed below.
Listed
If I
below.
was- If I
So
was to
it's,
go in here.
it's
and
globally making the changes to that panorama.
That's correct. So I'm gonna call it Wiegand Gate, just so that we know that we just changed it now, right? And I save the panorama. Okay. Let me go back to the dashboard. And you see it here, it changed here in the panorama.
Got it. Okay. So you can change, you can make edits to the 360 either from the tour's view or from the panorama's view.
That's correct. And what
Okay.
that saves us is, you know, it saves us the hassle of going into each one here and then changing the name. And what you could do is you just go into the tour. This is how I do it. I just go into the tour and I click on the panorama settings. And then I just say here, I'm going to call everything Wiegand just so we can, you know, it's, you know, created with the Wiegand.
Okay.
And, you know, save the panorama. So now when you go into the tour settings, you see that here you have the gate that we changed.
I'm lost. I thought we changed one of them to swimming.
Yes, give me a second. Sorry, let me go back. So let me call here, let me call it the Wiegand tour, and we go down. Here we go, Wiegand swimming. I'm gonna save the tour.
Okay.
So this is the swimming that we changed. Save. And let's say we go into this one. This is the living room. I'm gonna come here and say living room, save the panorama. And again, in this room, you can change the description. So everything we went through previously, the configuration, the panel configuration, the auto rotate, the brand information.
Okay, that's cool. I'm clear on that. So I now know how to bring in a tour, how to change everything associated with an individual panorama. I think we're probably up to how do I annotate the space to add a Matterport tour to that 360 or a photo or music or any other digital asset.
Sure. Can I go through some of the, so I just want to go through quickly through the tour info, if you don't mind, the tour
Sure.
settings.
Okay.
So here you can, you know, you change the tour description, and here's where you add more panoramas. Let's say, you know, I forgot to add a panorama. I added it later on, and these are all my panoramas here. I
Yeah.
can choose whichever one I want. You know, if
Okay.
I wanted to add a panorama from another tour, I could add it from here. So this is where you choose everything, all the panoramas to add. This is where you add a tour map. So anything loaded in the tour map area on the dashboard is where you would add them.
Where-
So here we've only uploaded.
Sorry, went a little fast for me. Where did I upload a tour map? Let's call it the 2D map.
So you would go back to the dashboard
Yes.
and you would scroll down all the way to the photo section.
Ah,
and
okay.
Have a SE2 map. And this is where you-
Okay. Works the same way. Okay.
Works the same way.
Easy peasy. Okay, got it.
So you would come in here and you would say, you know, yes, add the 2D map. Here you have the option of adding it in the navigation tray, which is the one here.
Okay, the thing I think of is the highlight reel is the navigation tray. Okay,
Or you can add it at the header, which is up here.
okay,
Or you can add it on both. You can say, I want it on both.
okay.
Okay. The next option is the preserve orientation. I personally like this option. What that basically means is if you have this on yes, that means it'll preserve the direction where you're going. That means if I go into the house facing the window, and once I go into the house, the window should be behind me. So that option lets the user keep going the same way that he came in. And I'll show you once we set up the tour. Once we go into the house, it'll be much easier to explain to you.
That makes sense. Okay. And that's where the orientation is set. Okay. And that's at the tour level.
That's at the tour level. That's correct. So
Okay.
over here, we're at the tour level, and we're gonna say that, you know, use the global brand. It's up to you again.
I'm sorry, I got to go back to that orientation for a moment.
Sure.
So when I shoot the tour, if I am totally consistent about keeping the camera facing north in every room, then that preserve orientation will work as expected.
It should. I'll show it to you once we go into the
Okay,
house.
I think it's really an important point, because if you're going to shoot a tour and you're not conscious of which way your camera is facing, then preserving orientation is not going to help, correct?
No, actually, what it doesn't matter what orientation you take the tour. It's really linking up the tour content, the different shots that matters. And
Of how you link the tour. So when
How
we
you
haven't
link-
we haven't gotten there yet.
we
So
haven't gotten there yet.
when we do the linking, this is going to keep track of which way I've entered that panorama.
Yes, I'm going to try to show it to you here. So here, for example, let me go. Remember this tour? I was showing it to you, and as
Yes.
I walk, the marina's on my right, correct? So I go
Yes.
through here, and the marina is on my right. So this is the preserve orientation. Because if I were to go in and suddenly I'm facing this way, it's kind of
Yeah, no, totally confusing. So great. That's where that's done. So if I'm
That's-
walking now, I've walked down 5 360s down the pier. When I turn around and come back, the water is going to be on my left.
That's correct. So if I was to turn around and go back, the marina's on my left.
Oh, that makes sense. I can't even imagine why somebody would not want that feature enabled.
I mean, it depends. Like on the house here, for example, on the tour, like I disabled it because if I'm going in here, right, preserve orientation would make me face this way. Let me do that again.
So you're trying to show off the house so that it looks
I'm trying to show off the house. I'm in the living room and the kitchen is that way, correct?
yes.
I'm walking towards the kitchen, and if I preserve orientation, then I'm going to keep walking in the same direction forward. And the
Yes.
kitchen and the window should be in front of me. So if I do that and I preserve orientation, then this is going to be my view.
Yeah, crappy view. Okay.
Crappy view. I don't want to look at the sink. There's nothing really to see here. So
Okay.
in this case, I turned it off, and I want the user to face this way.
A great example. Because I didn't understand why I would want to not have it, but that's a perfect illustration. Is that view looks way better than to say, oh, I'm just going to keep the walking in the same direction and stare at the laundry machine and
Exactly. And that's what the point I was trying to make initially. And maybe I didn't make a good point then, but the important part is that when you're taking pictures, you have to think of these things, right? So ideally, whoever took the picture, they should have, from the living room, they should have took a picture here, right? Because that way I can preserve orientation and it gives a more natural flow into the house. I can walk into the house. The same thing with the master bedroom. If I click on the master bedroom, now I'm on the other side of the bedroom. I don't want to be facing this direction with preserve orientation. I'd rather be facing the entire house. And what they should have done is they should have taken a picture here. That way I can look into the bedroom and it feels natural.
Yes. Okay. Well, the good news, Hadi, is every one of our viewers and every member of the We Get Around Network forum will correctly shoot the tour to have awesome assets for their 360 tours.
I'm sure. So here we go back to the tour settings. And again, this is what we talked about earlier, the branding. This is at the tour level. Remember, we're doing the tour settings here, and you could put either use the global brand or use, same thing, same concepts as before, logos for the particular tour. Okay. So this is your tour list. you know, in here, so we're starting with the swimming pool. If I wanted to start the tour with the living room, then I would just bring this up. And as soon as you go into the tour, it would start with the living room instead of the swimming pool. So
Okay.
you can change the order of which panorama you want to start first. Okay. And that would change the order on the navigation tray on the bottom. So now if we look at the navigation tray, the living room is first. And the
Yes.
swimming is second.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any
Okay.
questions on the tour settings before we go into the?
The tour settings is straightforward as the 360. So everything I could do at the panorama level in terms of content, I can do that at the tour level. I really think my next question is, well, how do I walk from, how do you annotate the space in order to have those interactive markers?
Sure. So here, what you would do is you would right click, and as soon as you right click, a marker pops up. Okay. You hover over the marker and you have three options. You have the edit, the delete, and then you have the go into. So let's start with the edit. And I would click on here, and then you have a screen that opens up. And this is really where, you know, all the magic happens. So here I have a lot of options. Let's start with the show description. So here you're just showing a description, and I can put title here. And let's keep this as marker description, right? And let's say we add the week in here. And here you can display it with the title or minimal no title, just to display a smaller marker. Here you have the option of having the marker always show or only show while I'm hovering on top of it. Okay. Here you saw the marker. Let me save that. The marker here, you saw it as the standard marker.
Yes.
So I would come in here, and now I want to change it. You know, it's red. I want to make it blue. You can do that. Now it's blue. I have the option of changing whatever shape that you see here. These are the standard shapes that we have. You can add, you know, info on it. You can add a 3D on it. If I save it, now it's turned into a 3D. I can come here and say I want it, you know, medium, small, medium, large, or tiny, small, medium, large. And that just changed in size.
Did you just drag it?
Yes, so you can drag this around.
Okay.
You can put it wherever you want.
And I know you said right click. I'm kind of old school and I still use a one button mouse on my Mac. So do I have an option where I don't think about right clicking?
I'm not sure. Actually, I've never had that question before.
Okay, I know I'm showing my unsophistication here, but I just I've been using a one click mouse. I'm guessing it's probably because I do things that are right click, and maybe it's just intuitive that I hit the command button or a control option or something.
It could be. It could be.
Okay.
Oh, so here we have the option. Another option is to put it inside a pointer. So if you wanted to put it inside a pointer, then you know you get this white pointer just to showcase it more.
Okay.
Okay. So this is and here you have the custom markers. Remember I showed you that.
Yes, there was a place to upload the custom marker. So if I have that little icon of menu, I can upload that.
So I could just click it here and save, and now you see the menu.
Okay.
Okay. This is for the first part. That's the show description. The tour content is where you want to show the other panoramas. So if I click on tour content, now I get a list of all the panoramas on the tour.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so I can say that, you know, the gate is here. This is the gate, and I want it while hovering. I can even add some animations to it. I can make it bounce. I can make it bounce slow. I can make it bounce fast, right? Yeah, let's put it this way. And now this is the gate, and the gate's not here. So now it's bouncing because I put the bounce on it, right? But the gate's over here. So I just grab it and I bring it here.
Okay.
Okay. I save it. All right. So I mean, you could do a lot with it. here we have like a delay on the bounds, then you can have the title always showing. Again, the title, and that's for the tour content. So you could choose whatever tour you have on this panorama.
Yes.
Okay. The next part, so let's leave that alone, and we're gonna come in here and we're gonna add another marker by right-clicking, and I edit. And the next one would be the Matterport. So if you had a Matterport tour, you just grab the link, and you put it here, and you would just put, you know, whatever Matterport title or whatever title you want, and you would add your Matterport link here, and the same thing applies. You can put animation to it and change the presentation.
Okay.
And this is just an info, like an info marker, if you like. It has no action on it. If you wanted to add an external link like we did on the menu, then you would add the menu link here, and you would come and say, you know, menu, and you choose the size of it, right?
Okay.
And then that'll allow you to have the menu of the property, for example, of the restaurant.
Okay.
Okay. The last one's the iframe embed. If you wanted to embed an iframe, you can do it here. Like you can embed a video, if you like a YouTube video, you just copy the iframe and paste it here. If you had, you know, an iframe of anything, basically any iframe that you have, you can essentially copy and paste it here.
So let's stick with YouTube video for a moment. So I can obviously grab the iframe from a YouTube video and embed it and stay within the tour. Or if I wanted someone to leave the tour, open up a new tab, then I could just insert it as an external link.
Yes, you could do both, actually, whichever one you prefer.
Whichever one I prefer is adding a YouTube video as an external link or within an iframe. And so this is where you could do the shopping within the tour without leaving. If you have, let's say, an Amazon product and you wanted to embed that shopping page within the tour itself without leaving the tour.
That's correct. So for example, now I copied the iframe of one of our YouTube videos.
Yes.
Right. And I save it. And when I go into it, this is the YouTube video, right, of adding your first panorama.
Yes.
Okay. So it's just a bit confusing because I added the weird icon there. Let's take it out and put this video, or how about we put, you know, we can put another video and change the color, put it in blue, and save it. And now we have this video here. And this is what I meant by you go into it, because this is, remember, this is the edit mode.
Yes.
So to simulate what the user would see, you would click on this, and that would essentially be what a user would.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Is there anything else? If you could go back to your content management system for 360 tours, 360.tours. There was, so I want to go back, yep, top right, and then go back to the dashboard. And I want to say on the left side, there was one more thing.
Yes, there's the custom domain, which I wanted to explain. Or you want me to scroll down?
Yeah, no, it was something about, it was said name, even above domain, name. What is that?
This is the name of the marker. So I called like menu icon. You would put the name here.
Oh, I see. That's where you were adding it. So that's your window to add what's above. Okay, totally makes sense. You wanted to talk about custom domain?
Yes. So here is where you add your custom domain. So custom domain 1, 2, dan.com, whatever you want to call it. And then you would come in here and you would choose what custom domain you want on the tour. And that would essentially change the URL from, it wouldn't be anymore my360.tours. It'll be dan.com, for example.
It's that easy?
I mean, there's some configuration to it where you need to configure your DNS settings. And there, if you go to our website and you click on, go all the way up, you click on the Help Center, you click on Learning Center, you'll get some extensive documentation here. And it's pretty easy. I mean, it's not difficult at all. Okay, you go down and you click on the adding custom domains.
Okay.
And you'll get an explanation of it.
So it's not as simple as just saying, oh, I'm going to put in www.wegetaroundnetwork.com. In order to do that, I do need to set some DNS pointers prior to doing this.
That's right. Otherwise, everybody would be pointing, I could point to whatever domain I want.
Got it. You have to be in control of your domain, let's say at GoDaddy or IonBlade, wherever you host your
Right.
domain, and then do your DNS settings. Is there a term for this?
I mean, just do your DNS settings, just to modify your DNS settings. What essentially you're doing, you're telling GoDaddy that, hey, you allow 360.tours to redirect my domain to whatever the domain is there.
Okay,
So
great.
you're basically telling your provider like GoDaddy, like, yes, allow 360.tours to play around with my domain.
Okay. Is there anything on the content management system for 360 tours that we haven't looked at?
I mean, here we've looked at the short URL, the long URL. So this is what you would give somebody for, if you want to share the tour right away, as we said for the MLS. And then you have the iframe and the responsive iframe script here. I think that's about it. I don't see anything else that we didn't discuss.
Okay, I'm gonna take us out of screen sharing, and before we jump into our our next topic, and I have a lot of questions. I did want to mention for our viewers that are WGAN standard members, you get the free use of 360 Tours business plan. And if you go to 360.tours, THREESIXTY.tours, that's the extension, not .com, .tours. Just check on pricing and you'll see there's a business plan, and it's quite exhaustive in terms of unlimited tours, unlimited panoramas. I want to say up to five custom domains, and WGAN standard members get the free use of 360 Tours business plan. Hadi, talk to me a little bit about the best use cases. What's the real sweet spot for 360 Tours?
I mean, I couldn't narrow down one sweet spot. So I mean, we use it a lot for real estate listings. We have a lot of real estate photographers. We do have a few universities that use it. Our main strength lies in that, like real estate listings, universities. I mean, anybody that really wants to showcase a property. The tool is very powerful. You're able to do a lot. And we're planning this year, we're working extensively just to give everything an upgrade, add more features, just to offer more to our customers.
I would say we get around network, we curate a list of 3D 360 platforms and 3D 360 virtual tour platforms and software. There's about 170. But that we keep track of. I want to say though, that some of the things that seem unique to 360 Tours is this whole idea of the aerial 360 to be able to annotate the space. Let's say with Matterport, we're pretty Matterport centric community, so the ability to have an aerial view of a planned community, of an apartment community, of a vacation rental community, and then to be able to annotate that aerial 360 looking down on, oh, there's vacation rental 1, there's vacation rental 2, there's vacation rental 3, there's house 1 for sale, house 2 for sale, house 3 for sale. That seems like something that's particularly unique about 360 Tours. Are there other things that you think are some of the stronger features that lend itself to particular use cases?
Actually, I do have a feature that we didn't see. I don't know if you want to go back. I can show you the polygon markers, and that would be perfect for somebody doing like a residential overview.
Yeah, let's take a look at that, because I think that's a really awesome use case for 360 dot tours is when you have a plat, 10 homes, 50 homes, 100 homes for sale, that, okay, you're starting with this image, or this is what you showed us earlier. Now I think you're going to show us how you might add boundaries to this property.
So this is like an aerial image of a residential property. And let's say somebody buys a piece of land and you want to show them the boundaries of this land, you can. Let's say you want to show the boundaries of the entire complex, you can. I'm not going to show it to you on this because I don't have authority to do so. I'm going to show it on the one that we do have. So this is the house that we had. And let's say I wanted to mark this boundary, or I wanted to mark, so I would right click. I would go into what we didn't look at as polygon markers here.
Yes.
And what essentially that would do is that would give me a sort of marker, and I can put whatever color I want. Right. So this is the marker that we saw. And now I can move this up and down, and I can mark the space here. And let's say I wanted to mark this as like an emergency exit, for example, I can do that here. I can make it more opaque or lighter depending on what I want, right? So now here, this is it. I can increase the border width. Right now you see it's over there. I can call it whatever I want, like emergency exit, right? And I want it to always show, sorry, where is that? Always showing, because it's an emergency exit. And how that would help, in this case, doesn't help much because of the house, but if you go to the residential complex that we were seeing, sorry, this is it. You could take that and mark the boundaries here, as in to show the boundaries of, let's say, the property. These are the boundaries of this property. These are the boundaries of that property. You could color code it. So we have a customer of ours that color codes their entire development, since it's under construction, and they want to add, they want to mark it as what's under construction and where to build and where not to build.
Yes.
So you can do a lot of stuff like that, which we believe is very powerful.
All right. Awesome. So I get it in terms of markers. That's the aerial view of either a 2D or 3D image, so that you can annotate with Matterport, photos, video, 360s, other tours, anything with iframe. That seems unique. The ability to mark areas, particularly for planned communities or communities that are coming, that seems awesome. One of the things that I thought was pretty unique or novel about 360 tours is it can be as simple as you want or as advanced as you want, because it seems like under the hood, there's so many options if you want them. So if you just want a certain features, but you now want to start tweaking things, you've built into the platform a lot of things that can be tweaked. So I want to have the 360 move. I don't want it to move. I want it to move, rotate, but I want it to rotate slowly. I want to change the number of seconds. I want to delay in terms of rotation. So I think that's one of my takeaways was it's a simple platform to use, but it's powerful for those that are power users that really want to push the limit of each of the different settings that you had.
Exactly. I mean, well said there. Now, the platform itself is very powerful, yet very simple to use. So the learning curve on the platform is quite easy. As you saw, it's very easy to learn it. And I think the way we just embody all this integration together, how everything comes together is very special. It allows you to just, change the logos on a panoramic level, on a tour level, on a global level. There's so much options packed in there that you can use, or you could just, have a very simple tour and use the basics of it. So I think that's what's quite powerful about the software itself.
Do you have any sense of do I need to do one tour, 3 tours, 10 tours before I feel like I'm super proficient in how to build tours?
I mean, generally, once you do like your second and third tour, then you really you can dominate the platform. What I find is time consuming or difficult is for you to get yourself familiar with the place that the tour you're creating, right? So if somebody, for example, like the Lido tour, the Marina Walk that we showed you, it took a while to do that simply because we don't know the marina. Just to get ourselves like our orientation around the marina took a while. So once you know where you are and where everything is, like you know what part of the marina is that restaurant, and that's the part that's time consuming. But the tour creation itself is really quite simple. It's very easy to add, very quick. I mean, you could literally create a tour within a few minutes, within like 3-4 minutes, you can have your tour done.
So, so I'm just getting started. I think I'm going to talk about two different audiences, someone who's just getting started and someone who is a power user of tours, whether it's Matterport or some other tour platform.
Yeah.
I'm just getting started. Is there a free option for taking 360 tours for a spin?
Yes, so we do have an option of we do have a free option that you can take. So anybody can go and sign up, and you get a free tour. You can create a tour for free.
Okay, so if you want to play with 360 tours, you set up a free account, you get a free tour, and you can start building and playing and experimenting with it.
Exactly, and then you would have some, like you wouldn't have access to the custom polygon markers, and there's a few things you don't have access to as a free user. But I mean, even the free version is very powerful. You can still create tours and share them.
Okay, and then just a couple things before we wrap up, Hadi, is I just want to speak to those that are power users that are, let's say, are Matterport photographers and are taking lots of Matterport tours. And, you know, you thought, well, this might be interesting to learn about 360 tours. I'm not sure how it relates to me because I already do tours in Matterport or something. But my takeaway from watching you visit with us today and seeing demos is 360 tours is an opportunity to add an overlay of an overwhelming amount of added value. So whether you're building tours in a different platform, if you have tours of many vacation rentals, 360 tours lets you bring them all together. If you're doing a resort property and you want to be able to show, here are all the rental units, here's the spa, the restaurant, other public spaces, the beach, the public activities, 360 tours really is a way to bring together all these assets and add a huge amount of value. So whether you're just starting out and you're looking for a platform to say, okay, I bought a 360 camera, I want to be able to build tours, 360 tours does that. But if you're a power user of a platform like Matterport, this is a way to add this whole other layer of value in order to perhaps either add value to existing clients or actually to get new clients, because maybe all you're doing is you're getting individual rentals, but now you go back to the property manager and say, hey, I'm shooting all your vacation rentals for a variety of owners. You know, I could put all these on a map for you and create value for your entire rental community or your entire property. Anyway, that's how I looked at it. Was power users would find this as like, oh, this is awesome.
Of course, yeah, we see it the same way. In fact, we don't see ourselves as competing with Matterport. We complement Matterport. So for those powerful Matterport users, we're in no way saying, we prefer our software over the Matterport. We're just saying we complement the Matterport tours and Matterport software, and you can use your Matterport tours to give it more value and give it more, really what you were saying, just combining all of the properties together, combining the aerial shot with the Matterport. And when you combine 360 tours with Matterport, you're really creating a much more powerful tour, and you're adding much more value to your tour itself.
Yeah, I would challenge our viewers to think bigger than just shooting individual vacation rentals, individual properties. How do you take it to the next level and secure the entire community, whether it's a property manager or a vacation rental manager or a historic district or an entire college campus. This is a way to bring together everything that you're doing all in one visual metaphor of how to see and experience a very large property.
Yes, definitely. So I 100% agree on that.
Hadi, the last word for you. And anything that we didn't discuss today, you feel like we should have covered and we didn't?
I mean, we covered basically everything there is on the software. You know, if anybody has any questions or you would like to reach out, you know, please do. You can reach out to me. Just info@360.tours. You just get on the website. You can take that email as well. We're happy to answer any questions. I want to thank you for having me on the show. It was a pleasure, and I look forward to coming back.
Thank you. Hadi, I would add to info@360.tours, THREESIXTY.tours. Also, you can go to 360.tours and there's a contact us box. And also in the We Get Around Network forum, WGANforum.com, your member name is @360_tours, THREESIXTY_tours. So lots of ways to get in touch with Hadi. Hadi, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
We've been visiting with Hadi Osali. He is the owner of 360.tours, visiting with us today from Lisbon, Portugal. Do I have that right? Lisbon?
Yeah, you have that right.
That's where you are today, in Lisbon, Portugal, but normally based out of Miami. I'm Dan Smigrod, founder of the We Get Around Network Forum, and you've been watching WGAN TV live.